Okay. Good morning. It is a very privilege to be in front of you. I can to see my some electronic gadgets, but you can to see me. Anyway, we first generate bodhicitta and during the prayers. Orgyen Yorjana Yonsam Pima Kesar Dombola Yamsen Chogungu Drenyi Pima Joni Hisato Cordon Kandro Mambu Kor Cheje Jisada Drabji Hanja Lapshe Jesus Goro Pima Sada Hon Orgyen Yorjana Yonsam Pima Kesar Dombo Yansen Chogung Drenye Pima Johnny Shis Tron Cordon Kandro Mambu Koroche Jeje Sada Dupchi Hangela Jesus Guru Pima Sada Hon Urjen Yurjen Yonsam Pima Kesar Dombola Yansen Chogung Drenye Pima Johnny Shis Cordon Kandro Mambu Koroche Jeje Sada Dupchi Hangela Jesus Guru Pima Sada Hon Songji Chudon Dzogchen Ranyak Patrul Rinpoche Da Kajun So Jepa Sonam Jandrola Pencher Songji Depersho Songji Chudon Dzogchen Ranyak Patrul Rinpoche Da Kajun So Jepa Sonam Jandrola Pencher Songji Depersho Songji Chudon Dzogchen Ranyak Patrul Rinpoche Da Kajun So Jepa Sonam Jandrola Pencher Song Jin Zhe Par Xiu Sem Chen Tam Che Deva Dong Deve Je Dong Denper Che Che Dung Har Dong Dung Har Ke Je Dong Taraj Dung Har Me Po Deva Tam Ba Dong Mandar Ra Che Che Nye Rin Chao Dong Nye Dong Tar Ba Dong Nyam Se Me Pa La Ne Pa Che Che Sem Chen Tam Che Deva Dong Deve Je Dong Denper Che Che Dung Har Dong Dung Har Ke Je Dong Taraj Dungar me pu deva tamba dong mandara che che nye cho dong nye dong tarwa dong nyang tse me pa la ne pa chir chi sem chen tam che deva dong devi je dong dembar che chi dungar ko je dong tarwa che Dungar me pu deva tamba dong mandara che che nye cho dong nye dong tarwa dong nyang tse me pa Nibar Jurji Deya Tha Om Mane Mane Mahamana Yesowa Deya Tha Om Mane Mane Mahamana Yeso Deya Tha Om Mane Mane Mahamane Yesoha Uma Hum Ben Zangar Ben Masad Hum Uma Hum Ben Zangar Ben Masad Hum Uma Hum Ben Zangar Ben Masad Oma Hum Ben Zangar Ben Masad Hum Omana Ben Mahonsha Omana Ben Mahonsha Omana Ben Mahonsha Om Tarita Tari Tari Soha Om Tarita Tari Tari Om Tarita Tari Tari Soha Om Arapatsanada Om Arapatsanada Om Arapatsanada Om Arapatsanada Umara Bazana de Zidin Chijin Chenra Rosar Jadalu Tamu Mamba Rapsane Kadon Tanchu Yonglu Tofa Lodru Popo Noa Zarda So Saya Puju Shoshu Meto Tamra Lingin De Jambanda Sonji Shin de Mikte Perwayan Roka Namda Shin Shupar Shu Mahonye She Mender Zombo the Pervi Shonche Lala Parche Manjon Shi to some de He Gompa Topa Ton Supa Manter Shiva Mane Namkar Don Yamban Dorna Durva Shum Chuji Injo Porone to Son Sonji Kanjong Ronsan Chuko Substanza Lama Namla Sorvande Dosun Rovolo Nachula Yer Jinji Chimbo to Deni Machine Zoni Malam Chimbo Ngajata Baker Tangan sent to Humot Tumba Kadran Janla Sorvande Jagar Penchen Pola Kadranche Pemalin Troncolande Trome Tartalona Sumbu Kanan Ujirumbo Chela Sorvande Jitsun Lama Mikwa Mepa Tuje Chembo Don Demba Nala Hyonsab Shisha Sancho Dosu Semchen Tamcheja Lona chula yordo so son dunga chinda che jinchen yason me poncho ajola so semchen tanda yordo donchana tamba nanjo nunta tsardo so ndroga namkar don nyambu semchen ten dilana me payon topar zopo son jijo kumpon rumbo chengo pasha nyamdo shon chencho do tuyet tsarje semba ye konghi semba we chujo rumba This is a very short prayer of the bodhicitta, and of course, when we undertake any Buddha's teachings, and it is very important to generate bodhicitta, and bodhicitta is absolutely necessary. It is like infallibility, the seed of the enlightenment. And also, if it is not bodhicittas enhance any of our virtue activities, it's difficult. It can become the cause of the liberation's path. And therefore, it is very, very important to generate bodhicitta concerning thinking of all the sentient beings. And with the bodhicitta, we are now going to study the word of my perfect teacher, Gonzon Lami Shalom. And generally, when we study any text or scriptures or like kind of doctrines, it is very important to a little bit to know about the authors. And for example, if we study some Buddha himself, his teachings, maybe how he appeared in this world, how he applied his path, how he became in the enlightenment, and how he is, and which sort of the enlightenment in our human societies. He is like kind of the extraordinary mankind. Millions human beings follow him and receive happiness, blessing, and of happiness temporary and ultimate. And also it's like his speech inconceivable benefit and for all the any sentient beings. And this kind of mankind came to in this world, and then we need to check it's really how it is, who it is, and how much he has a quality. And this sort of investigation is very important. First the teacher, and after is his teaching it is relevant, it is truth, how it is like kind of the perfect, and the instruction itself like this. And of course, in the Buddha's teaching, Buddha himself and his teachings, and like more than the 2000 before appear in this world and extraordinary state, we appreciate very much Buddha him's teaching, the 84,000 teachings. And then this teaching is quite large, profound, and really deep, and in individual kind of ordinary people it's difficult to understand. And but of course there are some reincarnation of the Buddha himself, or maybe it's like someone's realized that true nature reality, achieved the same as the Buddha himself. And then they kind of make the very much short, like resume frame of the older Buddha's teachings. And we call the commentary or the Shastras. And then after the Buddhas passed away, and also in India, and after slowly, then Buddha's teaching expressed more to Eastern, like kind of China, Burma, Thailand, and of course, and then also to the Tibet. And then in Tibet, and particularly appeared the second Buddha, and Guru Rinpoche and Pema Sambhavas. And also it's like same time is great king, and also great Pentita, the Nalanda University's teacher, Khenchen Bodhisattva, Shintarakshita, and also learned realization of the Bhumamutta, came to Bhumalamita, came to in Tibet, and established the Buddha's teaching, especially the tradition of the Nalanda University started in the Sangye Monastery. Then afterward, it's really in the Tibetan Buddhism or the Tibetan tradition is a kind of absolutely imitating the Nalanda University, that ancient great masters, and they like kind of the pleased their own individual teacher, and also they are rich or captured the footstep of their own individual teachers, and also their realization and the knowledge, everything is become the equal of their own individual teachers. Like for instance, Guru Rinpoche and his disciple of the 25 disciples, and also Bhumamita student Shantarakshita. And afterwards, it's really in Tibet, there are many, according to those masters, such great masters appeared. And then those in the India and Tibetan Pandita, or this great scholar and enlightened beings, they made kind of the Shastra, the commentary, some Buddha's teachings. And today what we are studying, this is the word of my perfect teacher. It is connected to all the entire Buddha's teachings. For example, Buddha's teachings is there like kind of two categorized. And first in the sutta, and then is the tantra. And these two like categorizations, everything's 84,000 teachings included. And in order to practice seriously, honestly, this Buddha's teaching, bring into the path to practice, then how to do. And we need to follow some special pith instructions. And therefore, this word of my perfect teacher, this commentary, written that this author by the Dzogchen Patrul Rinpoche, and that you know very well, this biography you know very well, how he was you know very well. And this is like kind of, there's so many biography you can to look. And his commentary is this word of my perfect teacher itself. It has 3 main chapters. And first chapter is more connected to the sutta teachings, and we call the common preliminary practice. And then is the second part, it is the more like inner, and also it's like a more Mantrayanas teachings connected. And it is the really to actually how you can to settle, and to actually how you can to practice, how you can to follow sequentially, unmistakenly, in order to apply your liberation path. And then there is the third part, is like a more principle, direct, and part of the teaching is we call the transference power. And this one, certainly there is why he taught like this. And of course, generally speaking, this true preliminary practice, it is the foundation of all the teachings, and all the like kind of the practice is like kind of the preparation in order to receive really the teachings. But then certainly there's a part of the teaching is certainly coming why it's like we can just kind of put questions. And it's of course sometimes everybody's impermanent. We are like kind of our body is some in hand. It looks like solitude, but it's in reality is not. Very fragile and very much like kind of the easily disappear. It is kind of the when we were lost this body, we don't know. It's uncertainty. And there's certainly something we are not really perceive the main teaching. Before it's finished, not finished yet, the preliminary preparations, certainly something happened. Maybe we can immediately to use this transference of the power. And also it can works. And therefore he put the third chapter. And then it's the first chapter. It is the very important. There are the 6 chapters, like we studied, how it is difficult to find the human existence. And we realize that the most precious human existence. Now we are very happy. And also these human beings is not indestructible. And this is like kind of very much fragile. And any kind of situations easily to disappear. We can be lost and compounded. And therefore we truly understand the second chapter of the impermanent. We every day kind of concerning to preparing, some doing the benefit before to receive the impermanent. Of course, after the impermanent, we are not disappear, not we are evaporated. We need to continue traveling our consciousness. And we investigated where we are going to next path. Next like kind of the destination is the samsara. And of course we traveled through the 6 realms. And we understood how it is the situation, truly, fully, and utterly to understand. And of course, and the whole entire in the samsara, and almost there's difficult to have good happiness. Of course, there are some small and tiny happiness, but all the time is sufferance. And we more to analyze where these sufferings come from. Then we understood it's inevitable of the causalities. The suffering and the happiness without cause never appear. And these two are not given by God or Buddha, others. And we created ourselves. It totally depends on our action, positive action, negative actions. This is what we call the cause or action or karma or like kind of the causalities. It is inevitable and it's really it is like kind of there's no kind of the disputed and kind of the indisputable, it is inevitable, and whatever we done and result is the cause. That we understand inevitable causalities, that is we call the four like kind of the reminder and showing the realities. But once we are understood these four situations, human existence, impermanent, defects of the samsara, and inevitable of the causalities, then what can we do? We can to do something. Yes, there are the such kind of, like Abhisamaya Lonkaras, some fortunate student. Can I escape from the samsara? Can I to achieve some, can I go to some permanent the happiness? And it says, the reply says, yes, the enlightenment. And then we are like kind of strive or put effort and like kind of thinking our enlightened, to be enlightened or to be Buddha. And in order to be Buddha, of course, we need a teacher and to teach to us the unmistaken path. Not we need to follow up the asterisk path. We need to correct the path. And therefore, we are thinking first to 50 chapters, benefit liberation, how it is the benefit about the enlightenment, whoever to be the Buddhahood, how is the wonderful, extraordinary, forever happiness, transcendent to all the suffering of the samsaras. And then, in order to be liberate, we have to follow up, to listen, to really to learn, to study the spiritual teachings, path. And therefore, we are out of the ordinary preliminary practice of the 6 chapters. We already studied a fantastic way, perfect. Now I think it's like I don't need to mention, you are like kind of familiarity about that. Now you have certainty or like kind of the renunciation. And also it's like you are very much enthusiastic in order to be the enlightenment, admiring to be enlightenment, and really kind of the eager or urging want to be enlightenment. Now it is like your mind is ready and in order to practice. And then it's like the first times what we need to practice. Then it's second, according to the second Buddha's teaching, it is that we call the mantrayanas, really too serious to practice. And that is the first to start at the like main point by taking the refuge. And then it's like in this extraordinary preliminary practice we are going to study, and itself it has kind of the 6th chapter, and taking refuge, that is the foundation stone of all the path. And second, the arousing bodhicitta, the root of the great vehicle. And third is the meditation on the teacher as the Vajrasattva, to clean all obscurations. And the fourth is the offering the mandala to accumulate merit and the wisdoms. Fifth one is the kasili accumulation. It is the part of the offering mandalas. That's like kind of the destroying the 4 demons like kind of the single, like kind of the strikes. And then is the sixth one is the Guru Yoga, entrance way for the blessing and the ultimate way to arousing the wisdom of the realization. And that is the sixth chapter. And then is we would say the first chapter. And there's the first chapter. Taking refuge is the foundation stone of the path. It is the very, very important. And in order to practice the teachings. And here is the foundation stone of all the path, teachings, and practice. And also why we can to say that. And this is the like kind of the teaching. Why we say it's the foundation of the teachings? Because we are taking refuge in the Buddha, Dharma, Sangha. Why you call the foundation of the teachings? Because when we are going to listen or to study the Buddha's teaching, then we need faith, devotion, trust in Buddha. Firstly, we haven't got any trust, faith, devotion in Buddha, how we can listen teaching. And without taking refuge in Buddha, you listened 84,000 teachings. Our mind is full of the doubt, no devotion, no faith, and then the teaching is not correctly coming into our minds because of the doubt, because of the lack of the faith, devotions. And then, of course, we automatically hesitation follow up the sanghas. If you do not have any interest, devotion, faith into the three jewels, Buddha, Dharma, then Buddha's teaching doesn't work at all. And therefore, this taking refuge in the Buddha, Dharma, Sangha is the foundation of the teachings. And also, this taking refuge is the foundation of practice. Why? And it is like kind of saying it's the foundation of all the path, practice. Why we can to say like this? The foundation stone of the all path rather than of the path. Because taking refuge in a necessary preliminary for every one of the path of the both sutta and the tantas, we need taking refuge. Without taking refuge, impossible to practice any kind of path. And therefore, in the sutta, they said, vows can be taken in any circle, but without refuge, there are not vows. And therefore, all the paths and it is necessary, any sutta enters, first we need to take refuge. Therefore, it is said the foundation stone of all the path. And then there is the prologues. Patrul Rinpoche says, Part 1, taking refuge, the foundation stone of all path, then crowd with the three jewels of the outer refuge. You have truly realized the three roots, the inner refuge. You have made manifest the three kayas, the ultimate refuge. Peerless teacher, at your feet I bow. And taking refuge, the foundation stone of all the path, of course, we understood. Here it says, the peerless teacher, why I'm at your feet I bow. Because you three jewels of the outer refuge, Buddha, Dharma, Sangha, like you respect or how you care, how you respect, how you have faith, devotion, like your forward, like a crown, day and night, never separate. Therefore you become the peerless teacher. Also I bow at your feet because you, the peerless teacher, you realize it truly, utterly, and like face to face, to talk the three root, the Yidam Lama, or Yidam of the Yidam deities, Khandros, Dakinis. This is three root, Lama, Yidam, Khandros. That is the inner refuge. You truly, utterly, you realize it. And also, I bow at your feet, who the peerless teacher, you really ultimately, or that you are the source of the ultimate refuge, because it's yourself, you are the manifest representative of the three kayas. You are the representative of the Dharmakaya, you are the representative of the Sambhogakaya, you are the representative of Namanikaya. And therefore, I like kind of, you are the peerless teacher, I bow at your feet. And this is like kind of the homage, or like kind of the prestation. It is very important. There are like kind of any perspective of the sutta teachings and Thanta teachings. If you do like this kind of prestation, offering, and prayers, and it can take obstacles away, and also it's like we can to receive to our mind stream the blessing, power of the Buddha, Dharma, Sangha, and also particularly in the inner preliminary practice or Sikut Mantrayana's perspective, our root teacher, peerless teacher, it is the most important. In order to realize our true nature reality, without teacher, impossible. We need to follow the peerless teacher, unmistakable teacher. Not only the name of the teacher. And it's a good, we already studied in the outer preliminary practice, the first sixth chapter, like this. And then is after this forward, or after this prostration or the offerings, now is the main itself chapter. And as I said, it's like without taking refuge, and there is cannot receive any other vows, like a kind of the Buddhist path, like a kind of foundation, first vows of the refuge, of course you need, and second Bodhisattva, individual liberation vow, sacred Mantrayanas vows. Everything is vows, entirely depends of the refuge vows. Without refuge vows, we cannot receive any other vows. And also he is saying, taking refuge, the foundation stone, all the path, these three jewels, Buddha, Dharma, Sangha, included the peerless teachers. And even we can to say that some in the different schools here, they are also perfect possible for nobody's to take different vows. When we look at the different spiritual path, also they have many different vows. Like someone says, like some certain days they don't eat. If you go to in India, some vows, you hang in your hand, and until your hand is completely die up, they never kind of move. Years they are taking retreat, and also they take vows to burn themselves in the middle of the 5 fires. This sort of vows, many there is like kind of non-Buddhist, also a lot. But as they do not begin by the taking refuge, the virtue vow are not perfectly pure. Why? Because they never take like a kind of taking refuge in 3 jewels. And therefore, it is the very important and explained under 3 headings when we are talking about this taking refuge foundation of path. Itself it has 3 headings. Approach to taking refuge, 1. How to take refuge, 3. And the precepts and benefit of taking refuge. That is the 3. And then is the first one point, approach to the taking refuge. And it says, just as taking refuge, open the gateway to all teachings and practice. It is the faith that opens the gateway to taking refuge. As the first step in taking refuge, therefore it is important to develop a lasting and stable faith. Faith itself is of the taking three kind of: vivid faith, eager faith, and confident faith. When we are just taking refuge, this is the gateway to all the teachings. First, we understood what is the important to the follow up the Buddha, and why we need to follow up the Buddha, because his teaching is the most precious. Why we say it's like the precious teaching, it is the important. Precious teaching of the Buddhas can bring us into the state of the Buddhahood. And meanwhile we are practice the Buddha's teachings, we need a great helper. That is the practitioner of the Buddha's teaching, we call the Sangha. To take the refuge in Buddha Dharma Sanghas, that is kind of really the open the door to really enter gateway to all the Buddha's teaching of the Sutta and Tantas. And also it's like there's many different practice of the path. And why we are like kind of we say the precious Buddha's teachings. This is the gateway to all the teachings. And Buddha's teachings, it is the talking about wisdom, and the compassion. If you consider the truth of the path, the wisdom, that realization, non-self, depends on the mind. Mind is need to realize the non-self of the perfect Buddhi wisdoms, the truth of the path. Path of the wisdom rely on the truth path of the wisdoms and concerned in non-self, and we need realize it inner truth of the wisdom, which is the primordial wisdom. That is the totally depends our mind is. Mind is realize it or not realize it, totally depends the teachings. Therefore, it's talking about the gateway to the teachings. Very important. So depends, mind is realized or not, absolutely. Meditative concentrations. Meditative concentration. In the Buddha's teachings, Buddha he say, talking about the calm mind, peace mind. Generally we say the samadhi. That is we call the meditative concentrations. And in order to have good meditative concentrations, we need to find the following. There's such kind of quotations by the Shantadevas. It is said that penetrative insight joined with the calm abiding, utterly eradicate afflicted state. Knowing this, first search for karma burden, found by those who joyfully renounce the world. Extraordinary meditative concentrations or extraordinary penetrative insight. Penetrative insight means understood non-self wisdom of the true path. What does it mean? It means any phenomena of whatever exists in the samsara nirvana, included true path of non-self wisdoms. That we understand through our conceptual minds. And that is like kind of penetrative insight, means externally these phenomena, you don't need to change at all. You can to keep place of the samsara, nirvana. You don't need to move each other. You do not convert each other. You can just keep as it is. But insight, penetrative insight, excellent penetrative insight, penetrative insight, penetrative insight, penetrative insight. You have understand outer phenomena, inner phenomena, secret phenomena. That you just understand. You hear those phenomena are the true path of the non-self wisdoms. But that is nothing enough. You need to realize that inside. Truly, you need to manifest it in your minds. Then we need to enjoy the karma burden, meditative concentrations. In order to realize that perfect penetrative insight through the karma burden, then we can utterly, purely eradicate, afflict, or the disturbing emotions, any kind of disturbing emotion states. Then knowing this, firstly, joyfully, and we should to research enthusiastically, faithfully, the teaching of the karma burden. We found like this, then we easily, swiftly, and profoundly, fastly, joyfully renounce the worldly. And therefore, it is very important taking refuge in order to receive this perfect, precious teachings. And also, we say in the path, practice. In order to practice path, or the practices, they're plural. There's many different practices. Once we are searched for the penetrative insight or the karma burden, joy together, and we can eradicate afflict state, joyfully renounce the world. But of course, then we diligently need to practice. What we need to practice? Practice to have good discipline. Taking refuge, like a kind of the take up the discipline. If there's no discipline, or if we are not taking any refuge vows or the discipline, then what we need to meditate, what we need to adopt. And all the practice, it is the foundation, it is the vows, like kind of discipline. And in order to that is a start, then foundation stone of taking refuge vows. And therefore we say the practice. And also, without taking refuge vows, impossible. No the way we can take vow without first taking vows. Nothing there is. And therefore, we need to, even the practice, we need to take vows. Okay. Exactly, yes? Okay, we start. Okay, we break 15 minutes, okay? Your programs. Thank you. Chokyi, you get you.